You've just watched part 28B and learned about soul splitting? Well, in this part to come, you're going to hear from Spirit, who explains to me all about the day Jim tried to poison me to end my life. Stay seated for the next video, part 28C. And I'm Sarah Wilder. Thank you for being here. I'm going to continue, and this is the part of the reading where it's question and answer. And I have asked Spirit, please explain to me more about the wake-up call my higher self mentioned earlier in the reading. We had just been discussing split personalities and pathological lying, but I kind of clung onto that and I didn't want to forget about it. So I brought it up. So Peter related to me in answer to the question that Spirit said that wake-up call was directly in relation to what happened to me on Father's Day 2022 when Jim tried to end my life via poison. And stating specifically that it was a deep wake-up call, quote unquote. And Peter interjected a question to both my higher self and Jim's higher selves, asking them what happens when there is a deep wake-up call. What does that mean? What actually happened? So Peter interjected a question to both my higher self and Jim's higher self, asking them what happens when there is a deep wake-up call. What is that? Tell us. And he wanted to know, what was it that happened on that Father's Day? So Jim's higher self stepped in to handle this question, and he fielded it by saying that on that day, Jim was the persona whom I call the cowboy. He described to me how I was feeling during the whole experience, laying there on the floor, looking up at him, realizing this wasn't my husband, Jim. It was his alternate persona, and it was terrifying. So Jim's higher self said that Jim was literally possessed. He looked different in every way. He was unrecognizable, and he acknowledged that I could feel the potent, weird energy that Jim, as the cowboy in that persona, was emitting. It was dark, malevolent, cold, and charcoal gray. And I really appreciated Jim's higher self and Spirit acknowledging and validating the worst day of my life in everything that happened. And that my intuition was right on the money in all of it. So after hearing this, I responded to Peter by describing how Jim's presence felt that day, his aura, his presence. It was soulless and empty, inhabited by that bad entity. And my higher self stepped in and she validated all of those feelings, saying it does describe very accurately what happened, and that it was from my own soul that I detected the change in Jim's soul, that he had switched, and it came to me how I saw his aura. And I want to interject here that Jim had related to the children and me on several occasions over the years that he had a recurring childhood nightmare. And this is important. In this recurring nightmare, he was a cowboy in the Old West. He was riding his horse somewhere when he was killed by being shot in the back by arrows from a Native American who had been chasing him. Jim said every single time he had the dream, it was the same, and he would wake up terrified, panic, arching his back, reaching behind himself, feeling the arrow in his back. This explains why Jim's favorite movies are Westerns, including many John Wayne films, but also more recent dramas like Lonesome Dove, Dances with Wolves, Open Range. In the Texas to Montana drama, Lonesome Dove, Robert Duvall's character, Gus McCrae, he's sheltered in a riverbank, underneath a riverbank in the Montana prairie. He's pinned down by attacking indigenous warriors, and he's using an arrow-ridden saddle for his only protection, and he's mortally wounded. At that part, when we watch that show, Jim cries every time. Okay, continuing the reading. So my higher self stepped in and brought the topic back to why Jim does terrible things. She reiterated that he misses being in his cop world. Unbearably so, he misses it so much. His longing for those things has grown worse with every year of retirement, and now he's reached a boiling point. She continued, saying that back when he was an active duty cop, he did horrible things, and he didn't like to look at his true self because he feared that he would see a monster. All these years, Jim has been suppressing his true self in order to be able to live with himself, hiding a super darkness within him That's what she called it, a super darkness. My higher self explained that when doing so, Jim literally tells himself that he accepts who he is, that he can't change. And every time he negotiates the deal to hide behind a persona, complete with a counterfeit narrative that he's invented, he loses another piece of himself. He's literally fracturing. Okay, furthermore, my higher self explained that the process Jim undergoes to endure his dark deeds has created a weakness in him, like a rot, a vulnerability to attachment from dark entities, which is what she said happened on Father's Day, that he made the choice to surrender fully to the influence of that dark entity. In fact, it's been with him since birth, I was told, known as the cowboy. I'm going to end this episode here. We're going to go on to 28D. I'm Sarah Wilder, and this is Surviving the Man I Married.